If I were to change, what is it that I might lose? This is the hot topic that we are going to dive right into the center of the fire together and discuss. Welcome to the Man on Fire podcast. I am your host, the creator and the mentor of Man on Fire. So let's take a look at, if I were to change, what is it that I might lose? Everyone says they want change. Everyone says they want transformation. Everyone says that they want to grow, but do they really? So if I were to change, what might I lose? Well, I know in 1989, right out of college, I was selling photocopy machines, and I had a lot of friends at the company, and the boss and the manager, they really loved me and they saw big things for me in the future. And I had another agenda. I knew that I wasn't made or put on earth to just sell copy machines. No offense to anyone out there that does that. But I knew from my ulcers that I was getting on a daily basis that I was built for more, that I had a different reason for wanting to get up every morning. But there was a fear of leaving something that I was good at, something that I was making money at, something where I had friendships, I had connection, I had people admire me, I had people look up to me, I had a boss and a manager that really felt that I was going to succeed in this profession. So what might I lose? I might have lost all of that. I might have lost all the connections. I might have lost the certainty. And then I was diving into the unknown, and we all know that we have a fear of failure. Well, what if I go and do something that I really want to do and I'm not good at it, or I can't make money doing it? What if I actually make a lot of money doing what I'm doing, but it's not really what I want to do? Or if you think of somebody like an Andre Agassi, who years later after tennis revealed in one of his books that he didn't even like tennis. So why did he do it? Why do we do anything? A lot of us do a lot of the things that we're doing to get love, right? We're all after mommy and daddy's love, and we're all after the friendships that we have and love from our friends. And there's a terror that if I were to give up certain things in my life and I were to change, then I could lose everything. I remember at my 40th birthday party, it was a surprise party. I had over 150 people show up. People flew to be a part of that party. I went way out of my way during the course of my life to make lots of friends. A lot of it was very genuine and very real and very authentic. And of course, there was a huge part of me that did that because when I was younger, I didn't feel like I was enough. I felt unworthy. I had an ugly scar on my face under my left eye from being hit by a golf club. And so I made sure that I made a lot of friends, and I did that to insulate myself, to never really have to look at the things that I was afraid to look at. Well, you fast forward 10 years later to my 50th birthday party, and I had 13 people show up at my surprise party. Now, does that mean that I had less friends? Does it mean that I cared about less people? No. It means that I traded in connection for wanting to have deeper intimacy, and I gave up the superficial relationships, and I allowed myself to be more vulnerable and more visible and dive deeper into those relationships. But to do so, I had to change. To do so, I had to face the fear of people not liking me anymore. I had to face, what if I lose all of these friendships? And that's a scary thing for people to do, whether it's in a personal relationship, whether it's through friendships, whether it's a career. There's a terror to give up that which is familiar, that which has built a life for you, that which you have strong connections around. So many of us carry this fear that if I were to change, what might I lose? And we might lose our identity. We might lose the very essence of who we thought we were. Like even when I went off to chiropractic school, I remember I had a certain amount of friends that were truly excited for me. They were like, way to go, good job. There are a certain percentage of people in your life that will champion you, and that's a rare thing to find. But then there's people that unconsciously might try to sit on top of your hot air balloon. They might try to hit you with some negative comments. Oh, why do you want to go do that? Oh, that profession, that's for quacks. That's not a real doctor. Like, what are they really saying? They're really saying is, hey, don't leave me. Don't leave me. I don't want to lose my friendship with you. Don't leave me, because if you grow and you change, and it's going to make me feel insecure, it's going to make me feel like I'm not enough. That is a horrible fear that people have, that if I were to change, if I were to grow, if I were to go from the caterpillar to the butterfly, what might I lose? And we'd lose everything. We'd lose all the friendships, all the relationships that we've built. We'd lose that sense of certainty. We'd lose that connection. And that's a terrifying feeling for a person. But we're at this crossroad where we know we're built for more. We know that life is screaming for change. We know that we don't want to have more breakdowns in order to invite us into these changes. And can we accept it? Can we embrace it? So we all know that we have this incredible fear of failure. right? I'm afraid to start that new business. I remember my father used to tell me a story all the time about this building across the street, a brownstone apartment building. He's like, do you see that building? I'm like, yeah, Dad. He's like, do you know what it's worth today? I'm like, no, Dad, I don't. And of course I did, but I let him tell the story. That's what fathers do. They like to repeat stories about 100 times. He says, it's now worth $6 million. Do you know what I had an opportunity to buy it for? I'm like, no, Dad, what did you have an opportunity to buy it for? I had an opportunity to buy it for $500,000. Well, why didn't you do it? He was scared. He was scared that if he bought it and then it depreciated in value, then he would lose his money. And if he lost his money, he probably would make it mean that I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent, I'm not smart, I'm inept, I'm inadequate, I'm too dumb, so I'm unworthy. And if I'm unworthy, therefore, I don't deserve to be loved. So we all know that we have this fear of failure. Again, whether it's starting a new business, whether it's buying a piece of property, whether it's going for the relationship that you really want, whether it's going for the six-pack abs, whatever it is for you, all of us know that we have fears of failure. We dove into this in a previous podcast and we said that fear can stand for false evidence appearing real or F everything and run. And then from that podcast, we said, yeah, but what if fear really stood for face everything and rise? So we have this fear of failure. My mother used to tell me this and I never really understood it. She told me that I was terrified to succeed. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because if we were to succeed, then we would lose everything we've built. We would lose potentially the friendships. We would lose the things that we have certainty and connection to. And so she used to tell me, you're afraid to succeed. I'm like, that's so ridiculous. Who doesn't want more? Who doesn't want to succeed? And I really never understood what she was saying when I was younger. And it reminds me of that quote by Marianne Williamson, where she said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We're born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. What a beautiful, beautiful quote written by Marianne Williamson, and it just portrays how so many of us are so afraid to shine our light. And that quote, that sentence about you playing small does not serve the world. That's more world-centric. Most of us operate from a place of egocentric. Me, myself, and I were worried about our self-preservation. We're worried about people withdrawing their love from me. What if I'm not liked? What if I'm not loved? And we usually don't have an opportunity to think outside the box and to think more about how can I have impact and influence on others in a beautiful way. So us playing small does not serve the world. And this is where so many of us have this tremendous fear of success. So if I change, what might I lose? Well, that's a question that I'm asking you, and I would love for you to put it into the comments. If you were to truly change, what do you think you would lose? Would you lose yourself? Would you lose your friends? Would you lose love from your children or from your wife? I mean, some of you might be, let's say, an investment banker or crushing it in the financial world, and you built this beautiful lifestyle for your family. Put your kids in the best school, the best camps, and you live in an incredible house and you take your family on vacations and you're so proud of what you've created and good for you. But what if you have a passion that involves going into a profession where it's a third of what you currently make, but your whole identity has been built around the man that has made money that can produce and provide in such a way for his family? But what if you want to be a school teacher where it pays you, close to nothing compared to what you currently make? What would you do? So if you were to change, what would you lose? And so for so many of us, we would lose the lifestyle that we have. We would lose the friends that we have. We might lose the family that we have. We might lose our sense of self, which is one of the most scary things in the world, because we all have a personality and then we have a soul. And ultimately, as you'll learn through more of the Man on Fire podcasts, it's all about the emergence of the soul. It's all about cutting the cord to your identity. It's all about cutting the cord to all these connections that kept you safe, but kept you from fully spreading your wings and going from the caterpillar to the butterfly. So my question for you to put into the comments is, if you were to change, what do you truly believe you may lose? And the next question that I want to ask you is that really true? And just as a little understanding of that question, today, making these changes that I've made in my life where I went from selling photocopy machines off to chiropractic school. I had a very successful career in New York City. And then about 11 years ago, and it's a quote that I love to tell to people. I say, for a long period of time, I did what I was passionate about. I did what I wanted to do. But then there comes a point in a man's life where it's not really what do you want to do, it's what's wanted of you. And I knew what was wanted of me or from me by the powers that be, that come from above, that they wanted me to be a men's mentor. They wanted me to stand in the fullness of my potential as a masculine leader, an embodied masculine leader that lives from his heart, lives from his courage, that is very integrated, very grounded, and has done a lot of the healing work to unearth the stuff that I buried that would make me be more visible, more vulnerable, and more real, and more raw, and more authentic for other people, and show men how to lead from this place. That was scary. If I were to cut the cord to chiropractic, if I were to cut the cord to everything that had built the life that I have, the money that I had, that was scary as you know what. So if I were to change, what would I lose? I would lose everything. And I remember, with my wife, Kathleen, she literally supported me in setting a date of closing my chiropractic office, whether I sold it, whether I trained a young apprentice to take over the office. She knew that I couldn't live in both worlds. She knew that if I was trying to hold on to this world, my identity that had built this beautiful career that I was successful in, where everyone saw me as a chiropractor, but over here is what I know is wanted of me. And I was terrified to cut that cord. And together, the two of us came up with, let's set a date. And that was roughly 11 years ago. I think it was around 2015. I literally set the date and I closed my office. Actually, it was in 2019 that I closed my office. And next thing you know, all of my energy went into Man on Fire, and it just grew and grew and grew. And because of that, so many people's lives are so different today, from men to women to children, people sending us notes and letters and thank yous of, I wouldn't have been alive if it weren't for you. I wouldn't still be married if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't have had a relationship with my children if it wasn't for you. No, I take no credit. The only credit that I'll take is that I had the courage to change. I had the courage to step into the uncertainty. I had the courage to cut the cord of certainty and spread my wings and go from being that caterpillar into the butterfly. And the rest was the work that everybody else had to do for themselves to also make those changes. So it's beautiful that they're sending me thank yous, but the greatest gift that I get is witnessing their changes and witnessing how there's a ripple effect that when somebody embraces the changes that are calling them, everyone in their world wins. And that's what I mean by we-centric as opposed to I-centric or egocentric. So again, the question for you is, if you were to change, what might you lose? Then the next question is, if you do change, what might you and others gain? All right, guys. Thank you for being a part of today's podcast, and I'll see you inside the next one. It is your Man on Fire mentor, David Mailer. I love you all, and remember, you are amazing, you are extraordinary, and you are phenomenal. See you inside the next podcast. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you'll know the next episode has dropped.